Hey, hi everyone. I hope all of you are doing well and really enjoying the content that I have been creating with a lot of research. So, today's topic is slightly technical in nature and it is also useful to understand from, I would say, system design, interview around perspective. Uh, we are going to discuss polling, WebSockets, and server sent events. Essentially, these are generally like processes through which you establish a handshake sort of thing between the server and the client, and it can be either a push model or a pull model, right? So push model would be generally where the servers are sending out data to the client, and the pull model is generally where the client is requesting the data from the server, right? So let's look at, I think, polling, for example, right? So polling is nothing wherein you have a synchronous process in place where the client application, so client application meaning your mobile app, your browser, right, that is asking the servers for data, right? And requests are made at regular interval of time through API calls, right? So, essential part being the regular interval, right? Essential part being that these are synchronous requests, and essentially this helps you to get almost near real time, kind of updates. Correct. There are two types of polling that are useful to know. Short polling is where the client requests the data from the server at regular intervals and also returns an empty response if there is no data available, to be sent. uh, Drawbacks, obviously you can understand that performance issues will start to come in, because you are expecting a response even when there is no data to be sent, right? So you are definitely querying again and again, and you're the response irrespective of whether there is data or no data, you are constantly bombarding the request. Long polling is where basically the server is actually going to hold the request, and only send it when the data is available. It is more efficient than short polling, but it is definitely still not like and I would say effective method to kind of communicate between as having a communication step between the server and the client. I think this diagram should basically help you understand what do you mean by polling. So every x second that you can set up, there is going to be a request from the client to the server, and then there is going to be a response, right? The server is always in connect state with the client. That's the essential part, right? So polling, whether it is used, I would say good to know the theoretical concept, but there are better and more efficient methods to establish communication. So coming to the more efficient ones, WebSocket is another one. So in WebSocket, basically there is persistent connection between the server and the client, and the protocol is basically on the TCP connection, right? uh, it is compatible with HTTP protocol, right? And it is bidirectional. So basically, you can have data being sent in both the directions without breaking any connections or establishing new connection, and you are not sending any additional HTTP requests, right? So no additional HTTP requests. Um, Essentially, like I think communication in this kind of process consists of frames. This could be text frames, binary frames, communication frames, wherein like you're checking open or close connection, ping pong frames, right? Uh, Again, like the diagram should help you understand what it means. Browser is making a request. Let's say browser is your client. It's making request to the server, right? You get a response from the server, and that is when you actually establish a WebSocket protocol, right? Now, I think for WebSocket, this is slightly more detailed. Uh, no one expects you to know, but no one expects you to know the API structure. But if you bring it into the conversation, it can show you that you know the depth, of what is a WebSocket, instead of just talking about that it is a persistent connection, right, and compatibility with HTTP protocol, and bidirectional, data passage. So I think API structure two parts: methods and events. Send and close, basically, on the socket side. And events can be like your open event, or like you get an error, or you want to send a message, or you want to close, right, the line. So I think WebSocket, again, remember that I think there are push models and there are pull models, right? Leave in comment which one do you think is what. What is polling and what is WebSocket? And now coming to the final part of the interaction between server and client, and another type of process which is called the server side events. This is asynchronous in nature. Uh, and it offers benefits. And the server is pushing the data to the client. So only when there is, let's say, new data to be sent, the server basically decides when to send that new data. It's again based on the HTTP protocol. It kind of acts as a limiter, wherein the number of connect requests for the data on the client side, the server can control that. Um, Examples are for real life examples would be like you're monitoring infrastructure usage, right? Downtime, uptime, server health, etc., all of that, right? You can use the server side event process. You can also, like, if you are looking at regular updates of your scores, right, on sporting events, then that's another example. If you're looking at, let's say, real time coverage of, I don't know, like any big event, like let's say opening ceremony of FIFA World Cup or whatever it is, right? So there'll be a lot of posts, right? There'll be a lot of short videos that people would post, right? So in that case, server side events are definitely useful. Great, system diagram to understand this is a push response that the server is basically sending to the client, right? The client can decide to send a response confirmation, not send a response confirmation. That's totally how you design it. The server keeps on looking at if there is any new data frame, right? Will be in an iterative process, and whenever there is a new data frame, right? Right, any new data frame could mean a text data frame. It could mean what we looked in, here for WebSockets, right? It could be binary, it could be close or open requests as well, right? So that it keeps on looking at that, and when there is new data frame in there, then it is going to again, like, push this response to the client, right? Now you're going to ask, like, where is this new data frame actually coming from, right? So new data frame could be coming from your application that is, maybe, let's say, hosting the it could be hosting, let's say, a streaming application that is hosting a, let's say, the event, right? So you could have an opening ceremony where you have servers that are recording the event, and with very minimal lag, obviously, are pushing to this server, and the client side are your mobile app, for example, or it could also be a desktop app, it could be a browser in your mobile app, right? All of these are your clients, right? So now the server here is basically building the logic that whenever there is, let's say, new posts, for example, right, or whenever there is let's say, new video frame that is to be sent, right, that is how it will identify that there are new data sources, right, or new data frames that are to be pushed to the client. And this is all going to happen in an asynchronous manner. So which is the key for this, because that puts less load on the server, and the server has a capability to decide whether it wants to send the data frame or it doesn't want to send the data frame, right? So this is definitely the superior of all the three methods, if you're looking at polling, WebSocket, and server side events. um, slightly obviously expensive to set up because the server logic has to be built when you want to pull, and when you want to push the data frames. Also, I think the logs and monitoring, right, has to be a step up compared to, I think, any of the other two methods, because on this side, right, on the server side, failures would be like disastrous. Like failures, by failures I mean, like, your applications that are sending information, data to these servers, right? Your log and your let's say infrastructure to actually monitor the failures has to be like super robust, and also very very you know has to respond in a timely manner, no lags there. So I hope this gave you a good perspective of the three different techniques: the polling, WebSocket, and server-side events. Uh, Use this, I think, judiciously. I would say, in the system design interviews, um, you can always, like, debate between one or the other, but obviously keep the basics clear. Which one is a push model? Which one is a pull model? And also, like, I think have an I think idea of let's say the synchronous behavior, right? So polling, just to summarize, polling is synchronous, WebSockets are persistent, and server side events are those are asynchronous, right? So there's going to be debate on, for example, if you're building a web messenger, right, which of these, like, processes is the most appropriate, right? Leave the comments in the section and I'll get back to you. Another, I think, important topic that I'm going to cover, and there's been requests for it quite some time now, is how do you actually answer questions on matrices, product matrices. So for example, if I am running a payment, let's say a service, let's say like Amazon Prime, right, or let's say a video streaming service subscription, and I see some kind of, let's say, drop in its subscription, then how do I identify it, right? So stay tuned for such, like, use cases and studies. I'm going to surely put that. The other, I think, requests have been mostly around that I want to bring in new feature capability within WhatsApp. It could be trading functionality, it could be community, let's say, feature, or let's say WhatsApp wants to start competing with Twitter and Thread, and wants to have posts, like trending posts, top trending posts, or like top posts by a hash, right? So those are, I think, some uh, realistic, I would say, questions. But do stay tuned into my channel, and I am definitely going to post and discuss those in the upcoming days. So for now, that is all I have. Please like and subscribe to my channel.